of like people getting up in arms about the situation. Weirdly, Jack Thompson in a way too, where it's like something that could easily be considered slightly offensive or offensive. Let's just get right out of the game. Let's have some serious respect. At what point are we just deciding to draw the line between what is and what isn't okay in this entire franchise? Now, of course, people brought up the fact that the game doesn't punish you because you stuck an arrow into somebody's back. Remember, the arrow did not kill the Japanese man who steal that. He didn't run away. The game does, in fact, punish you, like all Assassin's Creed games, if you do, in fact. Again, this just takes a basic level of research than anything else. You know, I want to remind you, this is a game where if you believe the shrine, you actually fist fight the Catholic Pope in let alone the second game. So if that didn't draw the outrage merchants already, I don't think a shrine should draw any form of outrage. Right? I'm just saying, like, equality is equality's sake over. Now, it sounds like I'm overly protecting this game right now. I'm not. I just found a level of hypocrisy to be a little bit stupid on the internet. But again, looking back to this game and like the weird excitement for it, like obviously I started to see other posts like, look at these air physics in the game. Look at me on the dog. Again, I think gameplay is more important than just basic hair physics. Or not basic, these are kind of impressive hair physics. But if you're getting excited about the hair physics of a video game, let's focus on the actual gameplay. And nothing of the gameplay in this game has actually shown any benefit to me. Now, I personally don't think this game is going to perform that well, just because I really do feel like it's going to be a box standard Ubisoft game, and it's not going to be something that has like a level of action put into it, like Ghost of Tsushima, or even Rise of the Ronin, or really any other game that's already basically taken the wins out of the sale. Had those games not existed, it would have been exciting to play a game set with a stealth action twist. But this game feels like what a tension game might even try to be, what those games might try to be. This is honestly like not really the most impressive effort put by Ubisoft. And look, maybe I could be wrong, and honestly, I really do hope that I'm wrong. I don't wish for bad games. I really don't. But I do wish for games that actually have a lot more, passion put into them, versus games that are most likely designed to be monetization. Now, if you played the last Assassin's Creed game, Valhalla, which, again, going back to the respect point for that, it's also a game that allows you to, like, raid entire monasteries with churches inside them, by the way, too. So if you're not offended by that, I don't think the shrine should really be offended. Okay? But that was a game where I would say if the game had 200 hours worth of content, 15 of those hours, 20 of those hours, if I'm being, like, very, very, very liberal about it, were actually maybe meaningful. You're talking about a game franchise that is designed to basically consume the most life out of you, to give you a shit ton of content without actually giving you that meaningful content. And it's, again, a discussion that I had about Ubisoft. If you want to be able to make good games and you want to be able to sell good games, then you need to make sure those games are not necessarily the longest games, but games that actually are capable of winning awards and basically setting yourself apart from the actual industry. There was a time where Ubisoft was a serious contender in the gaming space, where the kind of content that they produce, the video games that they produce, set actual standards instead of basically following the path. And basically being like open sandboxes that could just easily have interchangeable worlds, and that would be it. And this is like the actual standard that I think Ubisoft should probably start to take. Look, at the end of all this, ladies and gentlemen, video games are a tough market to basically be. And it's not just a Ubisoft thing, it's everything. Even a company like EA, which has tons of studios, if you make one bad game in a studio, one underperforming game, it doesn't have to be a fucking flop, one underperforming game, your entire studio branch and hundreds of your employees can absolutely be shuttered and sent out into the fucking cold hard world. Now, even if you produce a game of the year, you could absolutely see yourself being laid off. It's like weirdly one of the tough markets to be in, and I can kind of understand it, right? Video games like Assassin's Creed Shadows take years to develop. And, instead of allowing the creatives in this industry to actually produce a game that stands on its own merits and stands without being like, even at its worst, a breeding ground for ideologies weirdly pushed through, if that is happening, like I showed with that very first Dragon Age clip. But if it's a game that doesn't really have that heart and soul put into it in providing a good actual game, it becomes a weird target for a culture war, and it becomes a game that will underperform or fail, not, I would say, because of the culture war aspects of it, but because the game itself just isn't great. I think a lot of people, most level-headed individuals, most of the gamers that don't go onto the internet, just like to play good, engaging games. And for them, Assassin's Creed Shadows is not fitting, or it's not going to be an underperforming game, if that, because of the fact of its like choices, what it protagonists is going to be, or weirdly, if it's respectful or not respectful to historical sites, it's going to be an underperforming game because they're going to follow the same tropes and same fucking shit that they've had to deal with in the last several games. Which, if you ask any normal gamer, it's just not fun. It's maybe fun for like 10, 50 hours, but when you got to be doing this shit for 50, 60 hours just to pad out game length, that's when people drop off and not even get to the credit screen. And that might probably be the biggest change in any kind of game out there. I only ever managed to finish Valhalla because I'm a longtime fan of this franchise. And even I'm questioning if I'm going to go out and buy a set. But yeah, Ubisoft is not doing too well. Not only is this studio kind of shutting down, a lot of studios they have are kind of facing the fucking inevitable things. And unfortunately, they've really put their eggs into this one specific basket. There's very few successful games that I see at a company like Ubisoft, maybe something like Rainbow Six Siege for now. But given the fact of recent changes to that, I don't know how long that success will be. But for a game company like Ubisoft, again, having something like Assassin's Creed Shadows being delayed for the second time and finally coming out in a couple months, this game better slap. And I think even if it does slap, even if it's like a 10 out of 10 and it sells like millions of copies, I don't think it's going to save the over-bloated monstrosity that is Ubisoft. And honestly, it is a shame because I've grown up with Ubisoft games. Like I've grown up playing and some of their games have actually been genuinely industry-pushing standards. Games like Chaos Theory, games like Prince of Persia. There's tons of good stuff that Ubisoft has made. Even Rainbow Six. If you were my age and you were younger during the 360 era, you played games like Rainbow Six Vegas, Rainbow Six Vegas 2. You played tons of their stuff, and it's genuinely enjoyable stuff that they produce. But honestly, I think it's kind of the end of an era. And if this game slaps, even if it does the best of the best, even if it's like the most industry-smashing shit you've ever seen, I don't know if it's enough to save it, but that's kind of the target that they put themselves into. If this game is underperforming or fails, I don't really see how this company ends up going through it, because there's nothing else that they're making that is absolutely going to grab eyeballs of it. But intellectual software is like common spread, just like it, I want to talk about it because I've just been seeing AC Shadows everywhere, and I want to get my word out. But software is like common spread, just like that.
Tired of beer that's just too bland?
No problem. Introducing the amazing Photo Ranger IPA. It's bright popping. Plus, you can take it almost anywhere. So stop drinking boring beer and start living dangerously today. Like, it's compelling in a way. I don't know what it is about it, but it's thematic. Yeah, it is charming. Yeah, I wish they would remake the game and actually make it good.
A large online community for shit like PvP. Bloodborne was developed alongside Dark Souls 2 and was released exclusively for the PS4 in 2015. And I used money
like that. Isn't that funny? It's so funny. Yeah.
From a car accident to buy a PS4 and Bloodborne instead of paying my rent. And contrary to what my financial advisors might be saying, and Logan Roy looking ass, I'd say it was a wise investment. Directed by Miyazaki, Bloodborne felt like the true follow-up to Dark Souls 1. At least for people like me that just want to swing a big sword and parry everything. Bye, magic. Go back to really place faster combat. More aggressive play, intricate and varied weapon movesets, an atmosphere that just drips out of your TV, such dedicated attention to detail.
Well, I think that like a big thing is like there were a lot of new combat mechanics in Bloodborne. Like I think you played Bloodborne very differently than you played Dark Souls, and I like that.
talent in the art design department and grants. Dark Souls 3 dropped in 2016, and by this point, the Souls series was popular and beloved by many people. Directed once again by Miyazaki, DS3 did everything right on paper. It kept some of the faster-paced combat and designs and boss transformations from Bloodborne, while also returning an expansive array of weapons and magic.
My stomach decided to shut in there.
It has a large amount of fan service and callbacks to Dark Souls 1 and some of the hardest bosses seen in the story. Yeah, it also feels really, really good to play and looks beautiful. But also, something about this formula was starting to feel a little bit stale. Don't get me wrong, playing through Dark Souls 3 is especially
Is the Empire period segment.
I think Dark Souls 3 is a better game than Dark Souls 1. But I think that
Don't
Dark
you get to
Souls 1
choose
is
who
my
you
favorite of the
what
three.
nation
Like there's something
you
about
there's
Dark
no
Souls 1
like for like
that just had a little
like
bit
you
more
don't have
texture
to
to
do
it.
American
That
Treasure
made me
period
enjoy it.
segment.
But I would say that if you compare them, like all things considered, I feel like they're kind of equivalent.
Boss fights with my brother was some of the most fun I've had in any of these games. But that strongest sense of exploration felt in
Like let me give you guys make sure you guys understand. Thinking that Dark Souls 1 is the best of the series is good. Thinking that Dark Souls 3 is the best in the series is also good. Thinking that Dark Souls 2 is the best in the series, that's a wrong opinion in your opinion. Okay?
one. That feeling
Yeah,
of
you can't
charting
have
your
that.
way through
That's
a
just wrong.
mysterious and dangerous world. I
You just
love
wrong that.
The Dark Souls series had completely shaken the game industry and clearly inspired other developers to change how their games were designed. But playing Dark Souls 3 felt a bit like listening to From Software's greatest hits versus hearing the band's new album that would maybe take them someplace new. Little Red.
I actually think that Dark Souls 3, yes, it did have a callback to the Asylum Demon. That's definitely true. But it also, I mean, keep in mind, the Asylum Demon was a callback to the Demon Vanguard, which was the first boss in the Demon Souls cutscene, or the Demon Souls, prelude, right? And then you encounter it later on as you're going towards the Adjudicator. And then later in the series, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the Erd Tree Sentinels, or not, the Erd Tree Guardians, the big tree guys that go through the thing, those are Asylum Demons. Yeah, the Avatars. Yeah, there you go. That's what they're called, Avatars. Yeah, they're the same thing. I think that, yes, they did have some greatest hits callbacks, but I never felt like it was overbearing to the extent that it was, like, weird. And I think that some of the callbacks that they had, right? Because like the Nameless King is supposed to be like Lynn's firstborn son, and it's like there's like a whole lore behind that. A lot of the callbacks to Dark Souls 1 are way more esoteric. Like these are things that are you're not even gonna know this unless you watch a 40-minute video about it. So I think that yes, of course they reuse some of the scenes and some bosses, but I think you can apply all of that to Elden Ring too. And I don't think that it took away from the game at all.
Don't think of it as Friday. Think of it as Free Fries Friday.
I know From Software was in the studio working on their In Rainbows, as in the album In Rainbows by Radiohead, as in Radiohead's best album, as in Elden Ring.
It's so weird.
Some of you might be wondering,
Like, when did I take it back?
why did it take you
Like 2018 or something like that, 2019, and then finally it was so crazy to think Elden Ring came out 3 years later.
so long to make a video on Elden Ring? and I have two answers for you. A, last year I was very busy working on an album called Rom College. Shout out JakeMerch.com. And B, this game is just too damn big and too daunting to dissect and talk about. And I also just wanted to keep playing it, but I feel like I'm finally ready to get into it with my support group. That's you. This is all of you. Where do I even begin? Elden Ring isn't perfect, but that's also what makes it so compelling. It's not properly balanced. I mean, none of these games are. They never have. Microsoft has pretty good.
They've never been balanced. Please, thank you so much. These games have always been clown shows. There have always been OP items. Like it's like people say Sekiro, right? You ever use the Mortal Blade? It's real fucking challenging.
Favorites when it comes to certain weapons and buffs and spells. You can absolutely break these games in half if you really want to, but the sheer depth of content that Elden Ring slowly unveils to you during your 200 or so hours of playing it, the childhood fantasy of exploring a fantastical, magical world filled with swords and beasts and, you guessed it, rats, is only manifested in a way that knows no contemporary. There is no other Elden Ring than Elden Ring. This isn't just.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, very good point.
The Dark Souls of Dark Souls. This is the Dark Souls of Breath of the Wild. This is the Dark Souls of Red Dead Redemption 2. If you took a time machine back to 2003 and showed my wooden sword in the backyard swinging ass that this is what was coming in the future, I would have shot you in the head and called the cops. Elden Ring is truly the adventure.
Yo, y'all remember that one time when the clown got knocked off the fucking bridge? Holy shit, that was a good one.
Truly the adventure of a lifetime. But because I've already spent so much time talking about the core design pillars that all of these games share, I want to instead focus on certain pillars that Elden Ring innovates on or potentially fails to innovate on. Exploration in scale, dungeons and dragons, and difficulty and accessibility. Where Dark Souls 1's world is like a short stack of pancakes, all connected, Elden Ring's world is like a giant stack of pancakes, and you took all those pancakes and you spread them out across a giant table. And most of the pancakes are touching each other, and some of the pancakes have other pancakes hiding underneath them, and other pancakes might transport you to dark pancakes and stuff ways, and some of the pancakes are on fire and make you feel fear. I don't want to be in the Denny's anymore. He's actually stated that Elden Ring is the closest thing to his ideal game that he would personally like to play. And they
That's why they stopped. That's why I don't know if they can make it Elden Ring 2. You know what I mean? I feel like, yeah, I bet the guys from Software probably know this. They're like, man, this one was really good. Yeah, I don't know if we can do this again.
An open world in which is this ideal experience
How they
that
feel
he's
about it?
trying to achieve. A game where if you saw something over there, you could actually go over there. A game that isn't open world just to be in the same category as some bloated bullshit, but a game that's open world because it needs to be. In order to fully capture the fantasy of being an adventurer in a giant world and riding across a vast landscape on your trusty steed, you first need to have that vast landscape to really nail that feeling.
I fucking killed that bitch. Look how you study my motherfucking shit. Yeah. Don't shut up.
An overwhelming list of things to check off. Obviously, Matthew Marks
So you're at one.
Go over here,
No.
you have to go over to here.
Kill that one.
Like, that's number 433. If you do all of them, you get the achievement.
Because that was when we brought the player a true sense of mystery and discovery. Exploring this massive world. Elden Ring is very secret. This is what the map looks like when you start the edges. And this is what it looks like when you finish it. And these are the pancakes that are clear the entire time. A chest of a snow grenade in the starting area and being transported and waking up in one of the most giant late game areas and checking a map and seeing it zoom out like that was an experience I will never forget.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see if I get
The world behind the lands between is so rich in detail and intrigue. These are the style of storytelling and gameplay combined with vibrant world history that George R. R. Martin developed for this game. The leap and that feeling like goddamn Amy Adams is in downright enchanting. I know I haven't mentioned Sekiro once in this video because it's
I do feel like, as I said, I think that Elden Ring, there are some people that, they think that it makes their personality more interesting to talk about why Elden Ring isn't a perfect and amazing. I'm not one of those people. I think it's perfect and amazing. Not perfect, but it's good enough that it's pretty much perfect. Yeah, that's it. I do think, however, if you want to talk about a perfect game, Sekiro is a perfect game. There's nothing about Sekiro that's wrong. It is a game that is like, Elden Ring's this big, Sekiro is this big, but this is really good.
technically not a Souls game, but it was a crucial stepping stone towards Elden Ring's development. The addition of a dedicated jump button makes that, like I said, the thing, but it completely changes combat in a way
It did.
For me, exploring the lands between over like 200 hours rivaled the experience I had exploring the first half of Dark Souls 1. They both hit really hard, but
I think that if I, like, the thing is for me, like, obviously Dark Souls 1 exploration was a lot different, but I think that if I had started playing Elden Ring first and then I had done Dark Souls, I would have felt the opposite, where, like, Elden Ring had that same level of, like, massive, large-scale exploration that it's like you just accidentally find a massive area.
But Popeye's wing game and your house game, it'll be strong.
When it comes to leak detection, experience is everything. With years of industry experience under their belts, the licensed and certified technicians at Zippity Split Plumbing have honed their skills and mastered the art of detecting leaks. Our commitment to continuous training and staying up to date with the latest advancements in leak detection ensure that you receive
What's different than
an exceptional result.
Everything.
Zippity Split Plumbing is Arizona's best choice for leak detection.
I do like how the towels were built up.
for different reasons. The first half of Dark Souls 1 hits hard because of a lack of fast travel safety, meaning you become very intimate with your surroundings, and the world design really suffocates you with its complexity.
Are you finding your own?
Elden Ring hits hard not only because of like the terms of areas connecting to each other in a very non-linear path of progression, but because of just the sheer scale of the world. But because the sheer scale and intrigue of always wanting to see what's around the next corner is such a big part of this experience, much like Breath of the Wild, the game won't ever hit quite as hard in subsequent playthroughs because that main draw of the
Yeah, I mean, you already explored it. That's fine. And it's like, I do remember whenever McConnell and I did the playthrough, the co-op playthrough, and we were doing the playthrough, and he was showing me all the other areas in Stormvale Castle that I missed. Dude, I will never fucking forget that. That was such a badass fucking stream, because it was like one of those things where, like, I thought I knew everything about the game, and then he showed me, like, oh, wow, there's, like, this whole area with, like, a Crucible Knight, another one, I think, the Scion's there. There's, like, Godric at the bottom, or not Godwyn at the bottom. And, like, oh, my fucking God, it was so good.
discovery is no longer there. This doesn't even show you playing multiple playthroughs of this game. Because, oh my god, weapons and spells and armor sets and actions of war and summoning salt videos, quest lines that you can super easily miss, and you will because they're super convoluted and hard to follow. You should definitely play the game a second time. But I will say that on my second playthrough, I definitely wasn't as eager to revisit all of the content once I knew what was exactly around the end corner.
Yeah, I think Elden Ring does an amazing job at the first playthrough, but I don't think that it has the same replay value as Dark Souls or Dark Souls 3.
Ring has a massive amount of unique and amazing content to experience. But there's also some super not amazing content in there too. In Joseph Anderson's review,
Bro, I completely agree. I completely fucking agree. There's some real bullshit in this game, and some of it is just wrong.
There's also some super not amazing content in there too. In Joseph Anderson's review, which is great by the way, he talks about how amazing his first fight with the dragon is. And I completely agree. That first encounter with the dragon in a big ass wet field or whatever, and he's like breaking all of the physics objects. It's amazing. It's such an awesome gameplay moment that is just naturally experienced when you're exploring the world.
Yeah, this was insane. And like the fact that you did this in like a couple of hours starting the game was even more insane. Watching this makes me want to go back and play the Convergence mod. I downloaded it and everything, I just haven't played it yet.
I also agree with Joseph's point that because the game ends up having a billion other dragons that you find, there's seriously so many dragons, and they all mostly have the same moveset. It kind of takes away.
There's like 2 different dragon types. There's like the dragons with 2 wings and the dragons with 4 or 6 wings.
Bit of the oomph of that first experience. It doesn't mean that first experience is invalidated or made bad, but more so it's like if you ate pizza for dinner every night and eventually you were like, all right, I don't really want to eat dragon pizza anymore. Can we have like rat pizza, Mom? The same goes for a lot of Elden Ring's categories.
We used to have pepperoni pizza every fucking day at school.
Celebrating 50 years of music live, featuring Arcade 5, 52 XP Boys, Bud Bonnie, Randy Carlisle, Chris Martin, David Byrne, Tebow, Eddie Vedder, Jack White, Jelly Roll, Lady Gaga, Miley Cyrus, Mumford and Sons, Post Malone, for you only on Peacock.
Every fucking day at school.
Dungeons. Similar to the Chalice dungeons in Bloodborne or the shrines in Breath of the Wild, the quality of experience you might have in one of these copy-paste interiors is a bit of a dice roll. In all of the Souls games, you never know exactly what items you're going to find as rewards while exploring, but the areas and bosses are usually so interesting to look at and explore that the real reward is really just getting to experience that area and fight that cool boss. So even if the reward...
I remember when I fought that boss on the stream, and I had a broken weapon, and I killed him in 1 try.
Lord is something you're never going to use like another fucking spell. You don't really regret doing it because it was a really cool experience. The same does not apply to Elden Ring. All of these catacombs are not created equally. Some will have a clear boss and a really useful piece of loot, and others will have a boss you've already seen a bunch of times and an item that you will forget about the second you leave the catacomb. Funny enough, this is actually a problem that's remedied by a second playthrough, because if you have a wiki open, you can just avoid doing all the dungeons that aren't worth it. But on a first playthrough, the one that's the best and the most memorable, you don't know what all of these have. So if you're like me, you're probably
You have to do all. Yeah, you have to do every single one. If it's there, you have to do it.
probably going to do all of them and get pretty burnt out on fighting the same little statue first. These pieces of shit, for the most part, enemy and boss variety on display in Elden Ring will pull your back out most of the time. But seeing unique experiences that you've cherished, like the reveal spectacle of fighting Axel, natural boiling of the void, get copy pasted into a separate dungeon, or fighting a godskin for both of them for like the 5th time.
I think at least this one makes sense, but there is some element, he's right, that there is an element of Dark Souls 2 boss design, where it's the boss again. There it is.
It's a bit disappointing.
Yep.
The nice thing about Elden Ring, though, is that you technically don't have to do most of it. If a boss is too hard or an area is too annoying for you, you have so many other options of things to do, bosses to fight, and places to see. But this also potentially leads to some issues with the game's design. Previous Souls games that had a more linear progression path can quickly halt your progress with a super tough boss.
Yeah.
You would have to either grind an enemy off or still level up, or just landing head against the wall until you hopefully eventually break through. Elden Ring being mostly non-linear actually remedies that problem and finally adds a sort of difficulty slider to the Souls games. If the bosses,
I feel like in terms of difficulty sliders, Bloodborne and Sekiro were kind of the hardest, I would say. And then after that, I'm not really sure what else I would go with. Because like it was harder to over-level in those games than any of the other ones.
given the swirl and just go do something else. Maybe find a better weapon. Learn some new skill. Or spend time practicing your parries against weaker bosses. I don't know, blast them. Then once you're better prepared, head on back to that boss that was you up and say, it's opposite day, you slug. Huzzah! That's pretty amazing, right? It just makes the game so much more accessible and less intimidating to a new player.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big achievements. Like Elden Ring does have a difficulty toggle. Like the game is not very hard, and I actually think that Elden Ring can be simultaneously the hardest and the easiest game that they've made.
Never been beaten to death by a rat before. But the system of sort of choosing your own difficulty could also potentially rob you of a compelling experience. This game is so goddamn big that there's bound to be stuff in the early areas that you won't find until way later in the game. And when you do find it, maybe it's a super awesome unique boss battle with like a really cool reward that you beat in like 2 hits. In some cases, this feels amazing. It totally feeds into the power fantasy of wanting to make the biggest fucker alive. It can be super satisfying to just totally fart on a boss that once had you breaking 2x4s from the nards over your leg. But sometimes it can feel underwhelming and disappointing. I think the fact that the game doesn't have level scaling for enemies is much better than an alternative where it did. Because level
Yeah, I think that the game does not need level scaling. This is not a live service like simultaneous online game. Yeah, it does not need that.
scaling can often make a game world feel pretty artificial and your progression feel pretty meaningless. But I do think there's a world where you could have a bit of both. I think if you visit areas in the game that you're very obviously overwhelmed for, the game could maybe flash a little prompt that says, hey, we want to make this fight scale to the level to maybe make it a bit more satisfying and maybe we give you extra rooms as a reward for upping the difficulty. I would love it. Work around a game maker story.
Is the best in the world. At the end of the week, you will be an entirely different person. What happens behind that space and time? Sure.
Like theoretically, right? How would this work in reality? Is it like there being a fog wall, and then next to the fog wall there would be like a device that maybe you could interact with, and then the interaction could change the difficulty of the boss fight? I don't know. I can see what he's saying, but I don't know if the game needs something like that. Bonfire aesthetics, yeah.
Okay, makes a great point in the video about how Hollow Knight actually changes the layout of early areas and ups the difficulty of enemies to keep things more challenging and interesting later in the game. And I think that's a great example of something that Elden Ring could have potentially done as well. Speaking of ring rewards for defeating enemies, holy shit, they are all over the place in this game and make like zero sense. Donkey talks about this in his Elden Ring video, and I wholeheartedly agree. Like, the difficulty of an enemy does not correlate to how much money you get for defeating them. It's honestly ridiculous in a lot of cases. Also, let's talk about respecting stat points. Once you defeat Renala, Wizard Academy riding card, you unlock a way to use specific larval tier items to reallocate all of the stat points that you've spent money on. And this is amazing. This means that if you find a weapon or spell that you really fuck with but don't have the stats for,
I'm going to give an unpopular opinion. I wish that you didn't have to upgrade weapons. That's right. Here's why. I don't want to use the same weapon through the entire playthrough. But when my weapon is the best weapon because it's the strongest, it makes me not want to try new weapons that I get because I know that it will be a de facto downgrade because it's not upgraded. I'm fine, guys. I'm fine with it being a mod. Many mods have this feature. I'm not saying it has to be implemented into the base game, but this is what I like.
To retool your character to be able to use them and switch up your playstyle, experience one of the many amazing builds that you can do in this game.
So why can't you do the same thing with weapons?
Elden Ring offers no way of transferring or respecing weapons.
So that was I can't see exactly. So true. So true. It's only wrong because of limited resource. Yeah, but I think your limited resource argument goes out the window whenever you have ball bearing books, right?
With upgrades from one weapon to another, and it makes 0% sense. You find so many cool weapons in this game, and it is a total pain to make switching to them actually viable. So yes, you can find the smithing bells that let you buy unlimited amount of upgrade resources from the merchant. But hey, what if you don't find some of those bells on your first playthrough where you're not looking stuff up? And B, I don't understand what the harm would be in letting you get back some of your upgrade resources from a weapon if it meant that that weapon went back to its base level. Right? You would be so.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think that, look, I get why they don't have you do it. I understand it, but I also really appreciate the mods. And it's not, and the thing is, people say it's too casual. Bro. It's the opposite. It's that I want to challenge myself with different types of techniques rather than using the exact same one for the entire game.
More excited to find shit, even if it's something out of your typical wheelhouse. The Resident Evil 4 remake, which is fantastic, by the way, I talk about it on my second channel, Jaquan. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, 5 stars. Lets you sell weapons you upgraded back to the merchant, and you get most of the money that you put into upgrading that weapon, which is amazing. So why can't Elden Ring have the same thing? Another thing that can feel
I think the reason why they do it is because they want people to go through subsequent playthroughs with different weapons, and they want to have a sense of, investment into a certain type of character, and it's a single-player game, so I can understand that. The reason I want this, and as I said, I'm totally fine with this just being a mod, but I wish that it was like that because it would give me more ways to play the game. That's all.
It's backwards and outdated the NPC side quests and how you progress them. These games have always had super convoluted NPC side quests, and I know it's partly because Miyazaki knows with the internet, everyone's going to get together and figure it out, so we can afford to make it complicated, whatever. I get that. But I still think that some of these more basic ones should be doable by just using common sense. It's one thing to have NPCs not progress their dialogue or do something until you go rest or leave the area when it's a smaller, more linear game. But it's an entirely different thing to have that same bullshit in a massive open world game where people are supposed to move around from place to place, but will never do it while you're watching them. So you gotta go rest at a bonfire and then wait.
And again, keep in mind, none of this matters because the game is so good that people will look it up ahead of time and figure it out anyway because they will seek out the content because of the quality of the game. And that's why, again, graphics, who gives a fuck? The story, who fucking knows? But the gameplay, that's what matters.
Messed up, you gotta rest again to load the guy in because it's not nighttime if you rested and then died and then came back. What the? I went where the fucker told me to. Why does this require so many other extra unseen steps? I only glitch and know about this because the writing and the voice acting in this game is so good. It's so heartbreakingly good. And because the storytelling and the movements are so few and far between, you can chase after whatever scraps you can find.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, I make these videos to criticize the things that I love. Video. I love them so very much.
I don't like really. I mean, I think oftentimes whenever people give feedback, and this is the same thing with kind of like what I'm saying, is that maybe like the player's solutions aren't necessarily the best solution for the game. But I think giving feedback to developers so they can understand, like, because a good developer will understand not what the player wants, but what they need, right? And this is something that World of Warcraft used to do very well. And it's something that good game developers with insight into their games are able to discern and figure out. Like Jeff Kaplan, for example, said that you can't rely on the players to provide you with a solution, but you can sure as hell rely on them to provide you with a problem. Or tell you if there's a problem.
Of Elden Ring more than most other video games. I'm so eternally grateful to be alive in the same timeline that From Software is cranking out games of this quality. Elden Ring is not only a continuation of the Dark Souls franchise, it is an evolution of From Software's trailblazing game design, a design that I think defined the last 10 years of gaming, and Elden Ring could very well define the next 10 years of gaming as well. A massive journey with some of the most beautiful vistas I've seen.
Well, I think that it's also a return to form. Because a lot of video games used to play like this. Minimal bullshit, all gameplay. And then things started to change in like the PS3 era, I would say. And they became much more narrative experiences. Yeah, Zelda. Zelda's a great example. Link, go to the castle. There's your uncle. Get the sword. Okay? We'll go get him. What the fuck are you doing here? Let's go. You know, that's it.
Windows Vista, and some of the most challenging, grueling bosses that I've taken on and overcome since Windows Vista. Thank you to Hidetaka Miyazaki and From Software for taking a chance with Demon's Souls. Thank you for making some of my favorite games ever made. And thank you for watching this video.
What a nice
I'll see you later.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I'm so glad that I watched this. I know I wanted to watch this for a while. I remember when it came out. I'm going to watch this. This is such a good video. What a great video. I was very, very, like, I mean, as I said, I was so glad he brought the weapon thing and chance and all that. I love these games. I love the content. And I think, again, it's a return to form of what gaming really used to be, right? It isn't some cinematic experience that's meant for C-grade writers that couldn't make it into Hollywood and still have their stories be told. It's just solid, good gameplay against hard bosses with fulfilling content. That's it.
You spent all off season training to be the best. Be the king of the video game.
Why is Elden Ring so successful? Here we go. Wait, yo, guys, look at this right here. All right. Wait, look what weapon he No wonder he thinks the game is so good. This guy's great. What a smart guy. Okay, let's watch this. So this guy's obviously a very smart player. He's got his golden Albardo as well. And look how much damage he's doing to Radon in one hit, 749. Oh my god. There it is. Yeah, it's amazing. It's so addicting. It's big good. You know what? This game is actually terrible. True. No, wait. I like this guy. Yeah, no, I never want to play this again. Elden Ring. You see, the way I solved that problem with that boss is I just hit him a line and then he didn't do anything. You just hit him with on sheet dead. I mean, it's pretty easy. You just keep hitting him. The greatest line of games I've ever played. Hands down, not up.
And because those birds, baby, I'm the best.
I do think that Elden Ring is this is the magnum opus of From Software. I think that from a lore perspective, I think Bloodborne, I don't know all the lore for Elden Ring, but like I think Bloodborne is an actual S tier story that puts every other story in the From Software universe like an entire degree below that. Like, but I don't know the lore for Elden Ring yet.
I'm the best there ever was. Are you sure about that? Look at the smoking shot.
The boss, the fucking music that plays. Just took one tap.
I find it interesting that whenever my friends ask me, "Oh, should I play Elden Ring? Is it worth it?" I've heard it's kind of difficult. That's a little intimidating. My answer is always, if some people had asked me the same about Demon Souls and Dark Souls, my answer might have been different. But
I actually think
the
that
same about Demon Souls.
I thought Demon Souls was really good. I really did. I played Demon Souls through all the New Game Plus until like New Game 5 or something like that. I made extra characters for invasions, etc. The problem with Demon Souls is that Demon Souls just fundamentally is an old game, and it's not that hard. Demon Souls had one hard boss in the entire game. Like, Flame Worker was really hard. There were no other hard, and Flame Worker was not even hard. He was just the hardest boss in Demon Souls. There were no other hard bosses in Demon Souls.
Souls and Dark Souls, my answer might have been different. But Elden Ring, yeah, I'll recommend that to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing one of the rare occurrences in the game industry where a game's title not only lives up to the hype, but exceeds it somehow.
Yeah.
That's not to say Elden Ring is perfect, because the only perfect video game in my eyes is Star Wars Connect.
It's actually Super Mario World. Super Mario World was the most perfect game. Super Mario World and Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Those are the two most perfect games. And then a third most perfect game is Secret of Mana. Yeah, that's basically it. Those are the three. Ocarina of Time. Yeah, I guess that one was pretty good too.
It's as close to perfect.
I never played
as it can. Most of my complaints with Elden Ring come down to personal preference. The hype isn't just real; it's beyond real. It's at this point. If you're
Like, we're already planning, like, McConnell and I are already planning a second co-op playthrough of Elden Ring with different weapons and shit like that. Where we're gonna go through the whole game, fucking, like, together. And, like, teaming up, like, doing that. Like, not New Game Plus, but, like, a brand new game with new weapons and everything, man. And it's gonna be fucking badass. I can't wait.
it's taken so long to make a commentary on
sorry,
Elden Ring, it's because I have a new crippling addiction, which is Elden Ring. It's corrupting my work ethic, and as soon as I'm done recording this video, I'm going to go play it again. Please send help. This is not a joke. Not only is it a great FromSoft title, but in an industry where selling out to the latest trend is the trend, Elden Ring stays true to the roots of its tree. While everyone is praising how good of a video game Elden Ring is, I think it's equally important how it defies the trends of modern gaming. Would you be surprised, though, if I were to tell you Elden Ring is also From Software's easiest game?
Celebrating 50 years of music live, featuring Arcade 5, 52 XP4, Best Bud, Body, Randy, Carlisle, Chris Martin, David Byrne, Tebow, Eddie Vedder, Jack White, Jelly Roll, Lady Gaga, Miley Cyrus, Mumford & Son, Post Malone, only on Peacock.
お前はもう死んでいる。
You can't teleport out there, isn't it?
Oh my god.
See, he thought, like, this is the thing, bro. I fought that guy. That guy was no fucking joke, man. Oh my god, that was actually really good editing. I actually don't think it's their easiest game. I don't think, because I've played every single one. I think that Elden Ring is... I haven't done the hardest bosses in Elden Ring yet. I think the reason why Elden Ring is considered the easiest game, and so people think it's easy, is because they are From Software veterans, and Elden Ring gives you the most tools. Because you have so many tools and so many things that you can do, an experienced player can make it easier than any other game besides maybe Dark Souls 1. But an average player doing an average playthrough of the game will have an experience similar to Dark Souls 3. It's the easiest game if you're using spirits like a pussy. Well, no, that's a good thing. I think that like having the spirits and having like an easier version for the game is not that big of a deal. It's completely optional. You can turn it on and off whenever you want between different attempts. I think that's totally fucking fine. It's like, oh no, well, this should be actually hard. This should stay true to the true game. Oh, really? The true game? Like King Alat, the last boss in fucking Demon Souls, that does a 10% of your health in a hit? Give me a break. Like, the first hard Dark Souls game was Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 are easy games. They are a joke. Dark Souls 3 was the only game that was actually hard. And then Sekiro and Bloodborne were even hard.
But you know what I'm saying? Not a stretch. Downloading and playing Dark Nemesis, the sponsor of today's video. Whenever I'm getting destroyed in Elden Ring, you know what I do? I take a break and pull up Dark Nemesis on my phone, and I enter the multiverse. Engage in thrilling battles. Play anytime, anywhere, any when, any planets. Enjoy an exciting PvP experience. Squad.
I really wish that they make a mobile game that was actually like, it was. I would want to have a good mobile game. Like, I think that would be really cool. If you had a good mobile game, you could also play on PC. I'd love that. Yeah, that'd be really cool. It's called Lost Ark. Okay, dude. Okay.
Friends, and do
Yeah,
not
Genshin. There you go.
take battles. Get immersed within the epic 3D visuals. And use the weapon system to level up your spirit, wings, and companions. The spirits you get can be used as mounts or transformed into weapons, so the might is about decisions to make. My mount is a lighter, and on it I channel my inner spirit of Napoleon Dynamite. Amen. And you can download and try out Dark Nemesis today for free using the link in the description and the pinned comment. If you do, you're eligible for gift card giveaways.
I wish they had a good one of these. I really do.
What are you waiting for? Jump.
Damn, that's exciting.
Nemesis.
I'm gonna download that right now.
Thank you, Dark
Nemesis.
This video.
What a great game. We love that game.
Modern game. You know,
We love Dark Nemesis, guys.
let's explain what I mean.
Okay.
It's basically like
Here we go.
summarized modern
Downloading right now?
True. Scoreboard update. That's the best way to describe it. Modern video game releases by AAA developers have reached such an absurd level of incomplete. It's like, what? There's no scoreboard in the game, huh? Guess we gotta wait for the scoreboard patch. Like, imagine.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of games, listen, the fact is, like, Elden Ring had a lot of problems, too. Like, Elden Ring had a lot of bugs. There are tons of bugs with Elden Ring. Like, that's why they came out with a patch list, and they didn't even list all the things they changed. They just listed the top bug it had. Yeah, sure, right? There are still probably some bugs. There still are bugs. Yeah, like that fucking elevator that I went to didn't work yesterday. It should have worked, but it didn't work. So, yeah, it's got shit performance, shit camera lock. Yeah, there's plenty of problems with Elden Ring. But the thing is, people don't really give a shit because the gameplay's good. That's what it comes down to. Is the gameplay's fundamentally good, and that's what matters.
Imagine how far one has to fall to reach that. Somebody
It's the
classic.
same as PUBG. People love PUBG, but it was trash. It was absolute trash. But people still liked it because the gameplay was good. The ballistics in PUBG, in my opinion, I said this before, the ballistics in PUBG are the best ballistics in any game, any VR. Like, just, I'm not talking about the gameplay. I'm not talking, the movement in Apex is S tier. Warzone is my favorite. But the ballistics in PUBG, I don't play Tarkov, so I can't talk. I can't speak to that. Right? But I think it's just so good. Tarkov ballistics better? Maybe they are.
Some game franchises have.
I have to
so
say-
eager to completely throw away
That thing was so fun.
chase of a quick buck. Sometimes developers completely forget why their games were good, and they keep making shitty ones. I'm not sure what goes on at From Software, but they've only gotten better at making games since 2009.
The reason why they're very good at making games is that you have to keep in mind, like, you don't see Miyazaki and all the guys from Software going out using Twitter and talking all the time about it. like or like talking to the media all the time, doing tons of interviews or anything like that. They just go to work and that's it. That's it. They go to work, they make the game, and then they go back home. That's it. I hope you like the game. That's what it is. And there's the game. It is what it is. Yes, they have a vision. Yeah, I think that's really the biggest issue, right? Is like a lot of modern games lack vision. They don't really have any sort of like guiding principle that defines them as what they really are. They're just a game.
A long ass streak, dude. They're not slaves to the will of EA or Activision. They get pretty good funding, apparently. I've never heard of From Software employees stealing breast milk. Or exploiting children in an online gambling scheme.
I want to say that like there's a good chance that like stuff like this happens at pretty much every company because it's just an outcome of human behavior. It's not really that the stuff happens, it's how it's handled. Like bad stuff happens at every company, but the difference is that whenever you read about it, it's like, hey, this guy did this thing and he got fired. It's like, oh wow, that's crazy. Okay, cool. Good, I guess. And that's it. The reason why the Blizzard story was so bad is because it wasn't handled properly.
Oh, Gabe.
But Popeye's wing game makes your house game MVP strong.
Never published a disaster as broken as Cyberpunk. If ever there was a time for From Software to fail, it was with Elden Ring.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yes, Bloodborne and Sekiro, I'm going to call Souls games. It's just easier that way. But the Souls games have always been criticized for being too difficult. The story and game mechanics are too vague. It's not accessible to a larger audience. Cater to my needs, please. They've been criticized for being too challenging. Give me baby easy mode, please.
And yet it has a baby easy mode in Dark Souls 3. It's called using summons. Use your fucking summons. Swallow your pride. Go online. Summon somebody in multiplayer. And just go have them do the boss for you. Yeah, or play sorcery. Yeah, exactly. Like summons and magic do it. Yeah, I mean, come on. Hardest part about Souls game is using a mouse and keyboard? No, it's not. It makes it easier.
Despite a good chunk of the internet demanding From Software change their method of operation.
Bam, that fucked it. Now, whoever wrote this, don't break it. Nothing else guaranteed it will alienate some players. Man, bitch, shut the fuck up. You don't know anything about the game. I want to watch you play the game. I bet you're stupid as fuck. You don't know any of the mechanics. You don't know how it works at all. You have no idea. Like, that's the thing. Like, these people have, like, no idea how these games work. And you know what the worst thing about it is? It's because they know that. These articles are written in order to get people to talk about them, and they're not even authentic. This isn't even an authentic opinion they have. This is just something that they know will create controversy and generate clicks for their content. It's rage bait clickbait. That's what it is.
They haven't, and have continued their consistent legacy of success.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh. What the fuck? What the fuck? I didn't get that. What?
Well, so now the whole should Dark Souls and Elden Ring have an easy mode debates can finally die, right? Because clearly this game is much more accessible. Have you seen the numbers? Elden Ring has obliterated the record for peak concurrent players on Steam and viewers on Twitch. Out of From Software.
This is another thing people don't really realize. Just a second, let me just go back here real quick. Is like Elden Ring had so many more people playing it. Like it's actually ridiculous how many more people played Elden Ring this time around versus any of the other ones. Like Dark Souls 278, Dark Souls 3K. Like Dark Souls 3, I think the number is probably a little bit higher. The reason why it would be higher is some people play offline and they do mods. So like that's probably why it's offline and there's not as many. It's like the Dark Souls Remastered, so that way they don't get hit by the detector. But like still, I mean, like I'd say it's double. It's not even remotely close to Elden Ring. It's crazy.
Steam and viewers on Twitch have From Software's titles. And you have to ask, why is this game so successful? Well, it's not just a kick-ass marketing campaign. It's not just having George R. R. Martin's name associated with it. It's a genuinely good video game that has taken out a lot of the frustrating aspects that has turned away the general audience. I made a whole video on the subject of the easy mode and all the negative
I
consequences.
feel like, yeah, I mean, there were some really stupid things about Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, right? Dark Souls 2. And so we're going to talk about COVID also helping, okay? No, we're not, because I don't think COVID is the reason why 10 times as many people played the game. Because if that wasn't the case, that would be the reason why 10 times as many people would play all the other games, which is not true. A lot of these different games and a lot of companies have not had this level of growth in the game. So if you're going to say COVID is the reason and COVID affects everything, then you would see that same trend happen to all games equally. But that's not happening. And that's because it's not COVID. Also, COVID pretty much fucking in. I don't know about you guys where you live, but around right now, nobody wears masks anymore. People are pretending like it's 1997. They don't give a fuck. Am I like, are you guys the same? Like, yeah, it ended. Yeah, people in Texas have decided that it's over. And that's it. It's over. Yep, they've already decided. Yeah, what COVID thing, homie? That's it, man. Yeah, that's not what it is at all, man. It ended here in Sweden as well. Yeah, people just don't listen. Like a lot of the restaurants just like don't care about any of the restrictions anymore. Nobody's listening to any of that stuff. People don't respect social distancing anymore. It just doesn't exist anymore. That's it. They've decided that it doesn't exist. And that's it. Why should they? I don't want to talk about COVID and the validity of the restrictions. I don't care what people's opinion is, and it doesn't matter to me. But what I'm saying here is that, like, a lot of these games, like Dark Souls 1, here's a good example. Like, Dark Souls 1, I actually feel like is an S tier. Like, I think Dark Souls 1 is one of the best games ever made. But it does have some times where it really, really fucks you. Like being able to use fire key crystals, for example. Just a random example there. And another example is, let's say, like getting cursed in Dark Souls. You have to go all the way back to the guy at the bell tower to get the uncurse, unless you have a stone. That's incredible. I've seen this guy, I don't know, it's super difficult, bash dragon, so on until you win games. The game is still inaccessible for me. Well, then you haven't played it. You don't know anything about the game. Because like, I guarantee you, how much do you want to bet that I could make a build in Elden Ring that could cause me to beat at least most of the bosses with my eyes closed? Like, I mean, come on. With versus the 5 minutes stuff, yeah, I mean, really, you can't 100%. Like, it's not that bad. Like, just look at the different build and play a different build. If you're beating your head against the wall, maybe you're doing it wrong. Maybe you should try a different strategy.
That would have, for those in the fact that missed the memo, difficult does not mean inaccessible. Is it difficult to shove a dildo in your ass? Probably. That doesn't mean you can't do it. Difficult does not mean it's inaccessible. That's dangerous talk.
That settles it, doesn't it?
I get bitches. Yeah. And I'm so glad that From Software was actually able to cater to these people asking for an easy mode without listening to any of their terrible ideas.
Yeah.
The Elden Ring is still insanely challenging in all the right ways. Easy. Oh.
It's that jump that he does.
We can do this.
This guy's a real dick sucker. He is a real dick sucker.
Like Target the Bell and Star Scourge Radon, which, Jesus, talk about a couple of badass names to have. And some of the Elden Ring is more difficult than previous titles, right? It is. It's easier. But, you know, after 80 hours, the fact that I saw...
Oh my god, why they have to put him in the game, man? Like, oh my god, bro, this bird, like, it's the worst boss in the game. Guaranteed worst boss. Like, I hate this fucking game. I hate this fucking bird. Like, it's the worst one. And he's even using a summon because he knows it's bullshit.
finding crazy, unique bosses is just, it's insane. The level of content that is in this game, it's so polished. That's such a cool boss. Wait. Wait. Well, he does all this. From Software didn't make the.
Bro, I didn't even know he did any of this. I just sat and I hit his foot until he died. Yeah, I just hit his foot until he died. Dude, this boss fight looks really cool.
Dodge, roll, block, attack, game.
Wow.
Easier. They just made it less frustrating. I triggered a boss fight without actually. This is really
What the hell?
triggered a boss fight without going into.
Oh, this is Pork Boy.
You guys see this? Oh my god! It's attacking me through the fucking wall! What the fuck? Oh my god, he's gonna kill me!
Jesus.
Introduces 4 new gameplay mechanics that allow more opportunities for players to retaliate.
God, this game is so good.
Aggressive. I think this is where we see some Bloodborne DNA in the mix.
Yeah.
Jump attacks, summoning AI, posture breaking, and guard counters. Where you might have had to roll or block a sword swing in Dark Souls 1, in Elden Ring, some attacks can just be jumped over, leaving you a wide opportunity to.
They have that in Sekiro too, by the way. And it's not just the ones that put the red thing over your head. There's also times where you can just do the jump and avoid attacks that don't put the red thing as well. It's just people don't know about that. Really? Yeah, Sekiro, I think that what really, like every game, like they put good things into every single game with Elden Ring, right? They put like a lot of the. It feels really good to be able to like knock a boss down and then do a visceral attack. And they took that from Bloodborne. The one thing that I wish they had from Bloodborne is I really liked how whenever you take damage in Bloodborne, if you were immediately attacking the boss back, you can get the health back. I thought that was super fun. And I wish they had that in Elden Ring in some way. I know there's like a that allows you to get lifesteal. It's like Riker's Grey Rune or something like that. Isn't that it? But like that's it.
Down swinging with a jump attack, which can then lead to posture breaking. It wasn't exclusive in Sekiro, but it's definitely more fleshed out. Basically, every enemy has a hidden bar to indicate when the posture will break, and they become susceptible to a riposte. And those ripostes do the big, beefy damage.
I didn't know you could riposte.
Heavy and jumping attacks build up this bar faster, and you could totally
That's so
cool. And be more aggressive.
Dude, that boss is badass.
Still playing classic conservative style of like, okay, one hit, back it off. One hit, back it off. And chip your enemies down. It's all options, baby. So playing guard counters, which adds some utility and offensive power to shields. Hit R2 after blocking an attack, and you hit back. Simple as that. Finally, there's something that's cool. It's entirely new, but how it's treated is. Instead of just relying on other people and the occasional AI summon for only specific bosses, now players can summon 50 different types of AI companions for almost every boss fight. The Evergales, Evergalls prevent you from summoning, which is cool. But otherwise, you can upgrade those.
I didn't even know that. I never summoned 5 goblins
to attack their goals. Yeah, fuck them up.
This is really how people play.
Since you summon shit, gives you more chances to be aggressive. Yeah, exactly. From Software has accomplished is making a Souls game that gives players more options than ever before.
Oh my god.
What's the one thing you hated most about dying to a boss?
Running back. That's the only thing that I don't like about dying to the boss is running back. Everything else is totally fucking fine. I hate run backs. Like, the longer a run back for a boss is, the bigger mad I am. Like, Chaos would have been, like, it's not really that bad. Like, it took me a few lives, I figured it out. It's like, it's too big. Right, that's it. Oh, yeah, I hate runbacks.
Your souls? Humiliated, perhaps? That's it. You somehow died a pinwheel? You godless bastard? The most frustrating part of losing to a boss was having to run back to the
Oh, God damn. This guy really knows what he's talking about, guys. Let me tell you something. Detroit got his finger on the pulse of the community. I'm telling you something right now. This is a smart guy. Yeah, this is a smart guy with base takes. Fucker. Yeah.
Another thing to say about the crunchy looks some kind of better of a Thomas's English muffin.
Which is a look and which is a pain.
So look, very. They should teach you this good. Huzzah! A toast to breakfast.
Look at what is this pussy showing right here? Oh wow, that chaos run back is so hard. Shut the fuck up. Show the Sir Alon or the Smelter Demon. Like, I want to see this, like, oh wow, this one's bad, this one's a joke. Yeah, show Sir Alon. Yeah, Smelter Demon sucks. You can literally get stabbed into a wall after you go through the animation to get to the boss room, and then it interrupts it. The first one is bad, though, but listen, Dark Souls 1 has no. If you think the Dark Souls 1 runbacks are bad, never play Dark Souls 2. Just don't do it. Just don't put yourself through that. You don't need to do that to yourself. You don't deserve that. Demon Souls? Demon Souls doesn't have runbacks because you can one-shot every boss even if you don't know anything about it. Like, there are no runbacks in Demon Souls. Like, the only difference is Flame Worker. And by the way, I hated that too. I involved it so hard with that.
It's what I like to call the loser's walk. And it's a pattern I've tried many times. I swear to God, the reason the Better Chaos is so hated in the community is because it's a given boss that can kill you right away. But if you die right away, you have to take 5 minutes to walk back to it. But this is where From Software shows their innovation. A great idea are the statues of America.
Yeah.
Respawn points in certain areas, typically next to bosses. They refill your Estus and everything, but only if you die. So they function differently than silent cracks. I can think of maybe 3 areas I've encountered where I actually had to run past an enemy before fighting the boss again. So if you get grafted by gods, it's like, poof, right there. Get me out, champ. I do it again, bitch. Impressive it is that this game doesn't rely on having you.
Oh my god. I'm back. Like, do y'all remember that day? Do y'all remember that day? Like, I was actually mad. Like, I was actually mad because, like, the worst part about it was, like, I almost one-shot Flame Worker. And it was the first boss that I didn't one-shot. And so I was, like, really embarrassed that I lost. And then I had to run back again. And I died, like, I died on Flame Worker 5 times, man. I legitimately mauled it out on my first fight.
We like
Yeah,
sections of levels, given how large it is. For what is essential,
I came back the next day and I watched S-Man die Dragon God for like 4 hours. And I was like, you know what? I'm not too bad. Things will be okay. Things will be okay. No? Dragon God, it's not that he was like bad. Like, he just didn't know what to do.
Dark Souls 4, this is a perfect design choice. Notice I said design choice because Dark Souls 2 was made fun of for having a bonfire that you could literally just see down the hall. Like, it was a joke. But the Statues of America basically are like, okay, we're making it convenient for you to fight the boss again. But this is kind of a personal preference thing, right? Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1 especially put emphasis on dangerous enemies the player would encounter before every attempt at a boss fight.
Like, it wasn't really that much, though. Like, I mean, there were a few really bad ones, like Gargoyles Run Back and like a handful of other ones, but most of the runbacks and even Dark Souls 1 were not that bad. Like, and I guess, like, okay, so they were not that bad compared to Dark Souls 2. Yeah, they compared to Dark Souls 2. Four Kings was pretty bad. Four Kings. I mean, like, okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, 4K. See, like, I only got into 4K once because I used like the Guardian armor from the DLC and this right hanger, so like I just beat the boss really easily. But like, there's a skip. I don't know if there is or not. Great Tornado was bad.
This game was handled difficulty because it felt like the checkpoints were really checkpoints. It was an endurance run where you had to conserve your health. The challenge in Demon Souls wasn't so much the boss fights, but rather what condition you were in when you got to them. You literally have to get poisoned before you fight Waylon. Like, it's unavoidable. And then you've got Demon Souls who's like, oh, you fucked up? Yeah, you did. Little bitch boy. You died.
Didn't that happen to me? Didn't that exact thing fucking happen to me? Let me see if I can find this. Oh man, I must have lost the clip. It's got to be somewhere. I think I was like running around in Demon Souls, and this exact thing happened. Where is it? Right? It was like one of these. I don't know where it was. And yeah, this one right here. I'm like, well, hey guys, at least I haven't died recently, and I immediately go off the edge.
Little bitch boy. You died to some skeletons, replay the whole level. Over that, half your health bar's gone, and the game's more difficult. World tendency. So the gameplay loop that would always turn people away would kind of go like this. Die to a boss, try to get back, try not to die to the enemies on the way, and then fuck that up, lose your souls, and then get pissed. Yeah, I ask you this question. What is a fair punishment for death in a Souls game? In any game. Because unless we're putting quarters in the arcade machines, the only thing a game can take from you is time, right?
I think that is the punishment. Like, the punishment is losing. I think that at any point, like, I'm not into BDSM. I never watched 50 Shades of Grey. I don't want to play a game and be punished. The punishment for the game is losing. You lose. It is a fundamental punishment. Like, you fight, like, for example, why not? Well, it's not fun, though. Yeah, it's not fun. Like, I don't want to waste my time doing something that I haven't done before. It's one of the reasons why going back to WoW rating was so hard after I got to enjoy what Final Fantasy had. Final Fantasy has such a better run-back system. There isn't one. You just spawn in front of the boss and do it again. I'm used to running back and playing smart. Yeah, well, I did too, but I just didn't like it. Yeah, I did. And that's it. To be challenged hard, not punished, yeah, that's the way I like it. Is I like being able to come back and just do it again, like learning iterative design. Yeah, currently dumping in monster mask for losing, that's all the punishment you get. Yeah, that's fine. But like whenever I have my time wasted, is what I really don't like. I think that's fundamentally what it is. Because whenever I feel like I'm wasting my time playing a game, I just get frustrated and mad. And that's the worst thing about it. Is like getting frustrated and mad and just like pissed off because I'm like the game is effectively wasting my time. I think that's the way I really feel about it the most. Yeah, mad, frustrated. Yeah, it makes me mad.
Well, if you're not a responsible human being. But Elden Ring is impressive because it doesn't even attempt to waste your time. Once you get through an area, you rarely have to go back through it again. Shortcuts cut down on travel time. Levels have multiple routes to get to the
I never did this before.
More sites of grace than vines go back, and yet the game is still very challenging. Woohoo, baby.
You guys remember whenever I fought this boss and every attack that I did staggered him and I just poked him to death? And I realized that I was using the right weapon?
That doesn't care which tax filing software you've used in the past.
Let's get them over with.
Get that shit out of here.
Yeah. I was like, that's a good time.
From Software has basically taken the Demon Souls difficulty and modernized it because it emphasizes the gameplay as the challenge more so than it does punishing you for failure. Especially,
I think that they've taken Dark Souls. I think that Elden Ring, the difficulty on a lot of the bosses, like you cannot tell me that a boss like Moog or a boss like Radon is anywhere within the same universe as the difficulty of bosses in Demon Souls. Like it is not even in the same fucking universe. So like I would say that they took the difficulty levels of probably like Dark Souls 3 or Sekiro, and they just gave you more ways to negate them and more ways to play around them. Demon Souls harder or easier? Demon Souls is a joke. Like, Demon Souls is the easiest game, like, yeah, by a mile.
Since Demon Souls was an homage to old school difficulty, the loser's walk was a way for older games to kind of add up the runtime. What I respect so much about From Software is they found a way to yet again make the game easier.
It also used to be arcade games.
Expect without just tweaking numbers,
Exactly.
just giving you a separate option in the menus. And just as you can make the game easier or harder for yourself, you can also set parameters to make it more challenging. Personally, I don't like to summon allies for every boss. I like to.
That's right, because you're a bitch. That's right. See, like, I don't summon shit. I don't use any summons. It's me and the boss. That's it. If I can't win that way, I didn't win. That's all there is to it.
I feel it out and see if I can do it without summoning.
And by the way, guys, McConnell did use summons. I just want to let you guys know that. I don't know what made me think of that. Is McConnell used summons not only on Radon, but he also had to use summons. Get this. He used summons on the last boss. Isn't that shameful? On the last boss, you want to use a summon? Like, what the? Why you could use a summon on the last?
If I can't, then I will. It's just play it how you want. You can easily succeed in this game if you really want to.
Mess it up on
Here's a crazy crackpot idea. Go somewhere else? Why? Most players follow the advice of that dickhead who called me meaningless, which is untrue. I get bitches on the daily, and I headed straight for Stormvale Castle, where I confronted Margaret the Felt, but yeah, and scrapped.
I did the same thing.
It didn't go well. And that was the game telling me, hey, go explore this massive open world we spent like 8 years developing.
This is what I talked about too. You remember this? Well, like I said that if the game had, and it's like, so he's the initiated, right? He gets it, he knows. And like, no, I did say this. I said this like on day one. I said that Margaret was too hard for her first boss, and I think that a lot of people, it makes them quit because they hit that wall and they don't understand the context behind the game, and they don't know what to do, and they get frustrated and they quit. I think that's absolutely what happened. And it doesn't matter because the game is so good that people will usually come back to it. It's not a big deal. But it is kind of an issue. Sure.
Yeah, I could argue you can't try beat Margaret. Why do that when I can explore it, get stronger, and then come back with a better chance?
That's smart.
But yeah, linearity basically gives you infinite time to prepare for those essential boss fights.
And that's one thing. That's one thing that makes Sekiro a harder game. Is that like you are limited. Sekiro has probably like the best balanced difficulty. Like if you beat Sekiro, you probably are on about the same skill level as another person that beat Sekiro. Assuming like you're not like speedrunners or something like that, right? Like you had to overcome the exact same thing.
Goddamn.
But somebody like me and the model, for example, the way that I approach bosses without using summons is much different than the way that he approaches bosses with using summons, right? It's a totally different experience for the game. People overhype Sekiro. Well, they should because it's a really good game. It's unironically a really good game. I was thinking about going back and playing it again on stream. We'll see what happens.
Elden Ring's design, you might find yourself
you can't out-level, you can't put better gear.
Poses a threat, but even so, Elden Ring is the kind of game you still can't be too overconfident in.
That's true.
Whoa, what the bullshit? It's strange that FromSoft games have been criticized for not having a quest log. Where is the map? How come I don't have 100 markers and a checklist of chores to do on screen at all times? But that's the way Zelda has been, and nobody's fucking batted an eye at those games. It's the same thing.
Zelda was fucking amazing. I remember Legend of Zelda Link's Past. Oh my god. That was the shit, man. Like, that's probably one of my favorite games of all time. Like, that is one of my favorite fucking games of all time. Like, oh my god, so good. Like, it was just so good.
Dude, adventure games should just let you adventure through them. Imagine you don't have a knight of the Breath of the Wild fist that's pointing you in the go-to direction at all times. And I like that.
Well, Elden Ring does have that sometimes, though. And this is the smart thing that they do. It's like, for example, for the quests in Volcano Manor, if you want to find the invasion stones, if you have to go invade the other guy's worlds, they do mark that on your map. And also the sites and places have directions. They're like, go this way, go that way, go do this, go do that. So they do actually have ways to do this. But people don't realize it because they think of it like it's an all or nothing. It's not like that. I'll be right back. I'm back. Did you wash your hands? Why would I wash my hands, man? I got a clean dick. Why would I wash my hands? Why would I gotta wash my hands? What's the point of that?
Freedom to go to dangerous areas when you shouldn't is fun. To look at boxes out of order, or discover huge labyrinths by complete accident. Truth, what open world RPG adventure is all about. And Elden Ring in this regard is nothing less than a 10 out of 10. Even if certain bosses and enemies are reused more than a handful of times.
It doesn't matter.
This open world doesn't make a game like Dark Souls.
Seem like it doesn't matter. Like Dark Souls 2, for example, reused a lot of bosses. But I actually don't think that was the reason why. Like, that was not even my top 10 for why I didn't like Dark Souls 2. Like, I don't care about that. Because a lot of the bosses that they reused, like, for example, Birdie Boy from yesterday was reused. Well, I had already fought that boss before. But, like, now he's got a bigger dick and he's a lot harder. Dance Man, thanks for the 500 subs. I appreciate that. Yeah. Asylum Demon. Yeah, there was 3 of them. There was fucking Stray Demon, Asylum Demon, and the fucking Demon Fire Sage.
Really, like, no open world? No, it's different strokes for different folks, right? In Dark Souls 3, the game starts off and it's like, okay, you have to beat Udex Gundyr. You're not going anywhere until you do that.
You just beat it
out. And Ring's like, well, you can skip the tutorial.
Fuck it.
I think Elden Ring is a prime example of the power of iteration. You know, making a similar game to what has proven to be successful and refining, changing certain elements of it. If you do that long enough, eventually you plateau and your work just builds upon itself. Elden Ring is successful for almost the exact same reasons that Smash Bros. Ultimate was successful. It's a combination of every good idea they've ever had before, built under the supervision of its original brainchild. If you have a winning formula, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just keep going.
Nobody wants to. That's the thing. Is some developers try to reinvent the wheel. This is what Blizzard does. Is they try to reinvent the wheel. They're like, well, no. Now it's going to be different. It's going to be totally different now, guys. It's like, we don't want that. We don't want to do. Like, just make another wheel. Just give us another wheel, Blizzard. Just come on. Like, quit trying to make hover doors. Just give us another wheel. That's all I want. Just want a wheel.
Maybe. When I look at games like KOTOR 1 and 2, I think, thank God we have 2 of these. And then when I look at Paper Mario, I'm like, thank God we have 2 of these. I don't know how they keep fucking Paper Mario up, but they've done it 3 times in a row.
I've never played a
game developers like DICE exist and think that their core audience is disposable and worthless. From Software, under the leadership of Miyazaki, has never strayed from this ideal. Give your fans what they want. Please your core audience.
Give the people the stuff.
Everything will fall into place. Right? They're still iterating on the core mechanics from Demon Souls, a game that was largely considered niche until Dark Souls came along.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. It's true with streamers too and content creators. It's like, that's why I don't like to change shit up a whole lot either. Like, people like the content, good. Let's keep doing the content. We'll do some iterations, play some different games, do some other stuff, etc. But other than that, I like doing the same stuff. You stay true to yourself, keep the audience happy. Focus on your product. Easy rule. Yeah, exactly.
Some set pieces, dynamic level design, pattern-based boss.
This guy was a real dick sucker, man. Holy shit, he never did that to me.
Crushing challenges, but numerous ways to overcome them.
I did.
It's saying that, yes, Elden Ring reuses some assets, animations, weapon types, blah, blah, blah.
Everything.
But it has never had a negative effect, if any, on my gameplay experience.
Yes.
This is coming from someone who put hundreds of hours into Dark Souls 3, the game most similar to Elden Ring. You've got the freedom of choice of where you go from Demon Souls, the connected world from Dark Souls 1. Probably the best mechanic Dark Souls 2 introduced power stations has returned to my surprise. Using two weapons at the same time unlocks a new moveset. We have the other weapon skills and fluid combat of Dark Souls 3. There's larger groups of patrolling enemies like from Bloodborne and Sekiro. Stealth and jumping, though not as advanced as Sekiro.
Bro, this boss was a motherfucker, man. Like, I remember dude, I was on this guy for like 2 hours. 2 fucking hours.
Whole new layer to the Dark Souls formula, providing further options for player engagement. In fact, the Bloodborne mechanic of healing damage and take is a great rune in the game. They literally just put that base mechanic in the game.
Oh, wow.
That's what I was talking about. I just
Holy shit.
activated it after 80 hours, but still, it's there. Elden Ring is basically Cell from Dragon Ball Z. It's got a little bit of DNA
Perfect Cell?
from Software's titles to create.
No, it's so good. Holy shit.
Game.
Well, one might say that we're brothers.
What? I think what it boils
Oh
down
my
to
God,
is
that's smart.
how From Software's legacy is and how they continue to do that even amidst the crisis of modern gaming. It just shouldn't work. To have such a massive world with so much content and to keep that quality bar extremely high, it's just, I don't know how it's feasible. I haven't beaten it yet. 85 hours in. It hasn't gotten a little.
I haven't beaten it up.
Say this.
Yeah.
But I think Elden Ring might have perfected video game difficulty and defied the trends of modern gaming at the same time. Now,
True and
let's
real.
sit back and stare at this massive accomplishment.
Nicely done, gentlemen. Your work here today has made the Chancellor a very happy man.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He's alive. Finish him. Kill him.
Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the
Oh, that's so fucking close, man.
The Act Man for more.
Oh my God.
Don't forget to check out Dark Nemesis, the sponsor of today's video. Alright, everyone, that's all I got.
That was a good video,
The
man.
Act Man signing
I
out.
like that video a lot. That was a great fucking video. Let me link that to you guys. You can take a look at it, okay? So, like, I feel like he brought in a lot of the good points. Like, I've said a lot of this stuff myself, too. But, like, I think that we really just we can't get enough of these videos talking about this shit, right? What's the min and max XP in the Elden Ring? Okay, I'm going to look at that real quick.
How many layers of HP are you on?
3.
85. 600 right now. I need
The fucking music.
a little baby. Large this.
Okay. Oh, my God.
So, before I cover the secrets to good health,
Yeah.
let's look at my grandson.
Oh,
What I want to avoid. The lowest health starting class is the astrologer. With just 9 vigor.
what a loser.
That's because he's born in early July. Next up, the primal glintstone talisman,
Okay.
which gives a 15% health penalty. Ooh, and fashion matters. Avoid dressing in either of these styles.
Good.
They got a 9% health penalty.
Jesus.
If you do your vision gesture alone, it blows. Finally, don't be a sin.
I think it was all. The Belgians blessing has a 5% health penalty until consumed.
Oh, look at that.
All this gives us the minimum of 290 HP.
That's nothing.
That's low enough.
No.
Make this boss feel good about himself.
No. 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 Oh my God. That is just sad, guys. That is actually fucking
It's
sad.
what no needles does to a man.
Pathetic of right. Now what?
Actually, he is more useless than I thought.
True.
I got some corrections. The Black Knives, the buff, reduces HP by 10%.
Oh my
The
God.
player version works the same. You can't
261?
however, the Reckless Black Blade
Oh, we haven't done him yet.
and so lowers max HP by 20%,
Oh my.
making 232
Oh
players
my
possible.
God. Oh my God.
Using both his weapon skill and spell.
Yeah?
Still can't win.
Wow.
And with that covered, how about the max edit?
Okay, this is what we care about.
We need max digger. In this game, you don't cap at 40. You get more
Jesus.
all the way to 99.
2,100 health.
Returns. Don't really kick in until 60 days.
So I should keep putting those in now.
Plenty of money.
Strengthen your immune system with Emergency Immune Plus Triple Action. Activate key immune cells with clinically tested beta B and support and fortify with vitamins B, C, D, zinc, and manganese. Strengthen your immune system.
Now we need some bling.
Okay.
Increased flavor plus 2 gives 4% more.
Wow.
Not much better than the default version. The same is true for the Crimson Medallion plus 2.
Oh my God.
Now, behold, Morgoth's Breakthrough. It gives a whopping 25%. Much better than the other rules.
Oh my God.
And finally,
Oh my God, it's so long.
slam down at Crimson Spill Physic. It gives 10% more.
Oh my God.
4 minutes.
Oh my God.
With the max of 3,243. I'd like to see those end game process.
Let's see it.
Try and one shot me. Here we go. I must never return. Smooth shot.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. If you're wondering how I
But he's just still dead though. Like, but he's still dead though.
in process. Try and one shot me.
Death grab. Look at that.
I must
Oh my God. He was completely naked? Yeah, that's true. More HP is useless? Yeah, it seems that way. Oh my god, that is ridiculous, man. Holy fuck, I didn't even know that. Why is it always crap? I'm gonna maybe go kill that boss. Again, guys, I want to make sure I kill every single boss in the game, okay? Keep that in mind. I will kill every single boss. I don't want to miss a single one.
Now battle passes.
Wow. Inflation, and then there's premium battle passes, and then after you get your premium battle pass, you've got your super premium battle pass, and that's where the real good stuff is.
Has risen, but the price of new games hasn't, unless you're Sony. You think you're better than everyone. Most consoles are sold at a loss of profit. Developer size and budgets have risen tremendously, and with that, expectations. Companies want to avoid big risks.
Yeah, it's like the price of making a video game has probably doubled in the last 20 years, but the price of buying a video game has increased by like 30%. Well, where does that 70% come from? Well, that's the battle passes. That's why they do it, because gamers aren't going to spend $100, $120 for a video game. It's just not going to happen.
They can placate a game's disastrous launch by saying, oh, it's going to be live service, we're going to work on it. And that's what they'll do. Live service attempts to mitigate the risks and sunk costs of game development. Used to be, you bought a game, brought it home. If it was shitty, then it was just a shitty game. Right, it was shitty. But then one night, find yourself just staying awake thinking.
That's actually not true. I used to go to Blockbuster, you rent the game, and then you play it, and if you liked it, then you get your home and buy it. That's what it really was. Yeah, you would rent it, and then like if you can beat it in the time that you rented it, then it's like you don't need to buy the game. But you know, like that's what it is. You copy it? No, we couldn't copy games until I think maybe you could copy some PlayStation 2 games. That was about it. It was hard to copy a fucking Super Nintendo game, man.
Maybe Superman 64 wouldn't suck to real evolve if it was a live service.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you're allowed to release bad or poorly optimized video games as long as you say, well, it's shitty now, but it might get better. Said every developer of an early access survival game. Trust us, this one isn't a scam. I don't think anyone has the boomer hot takes that games were better when they were never updated. People that think that that's what you look like right there. In an ideal world,
True.
Live service,
Except this hair would be great.
Purpose would make every game better, objectively, right? I'd kill a man to get more maps in Mario Party 3. Live service experiences weren't so controversial when it was MMORPGs, but once games like Destiny, Fortnite, and Call of Duty started picking up the torch into the mainstream, that's when all hell broke loose. Updates, patches, and new content are essential to the live service business model, and it's become commonplace for new titles to have roadmaps, blog posts, video updates, interviews, hot fixes, new maps, patch notes, battle passes, seasons passes.
Which, to keep in mind, Elden Ring had a number of these too. Elden Ring had multiple balance patches, and this is not new with Elden Ring. Dark Souls 3 had this, and so did Dark Souls 2.
We're taking out this character, we're putting that character back in. I think Jeff Kaplan showed his ass hair on camera once saying it was going to be in Overwatch 2. And it's like, is the game finished yet? Can I have the fun? Is the fun now mine? The live service experience can easily get muddled and confusing to casual gamers. Hard to keep track of my bills, my insurance, and the decline of my physical well-being. I don't want to keep track of every update for every live service game. For example, when Halo has always had split-screen campaign co-op, and then one day it doesn't.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting how they just get rid of split-screen co-op. Like, I don't understand why you would do that. I remember, like, playing split-screen co-op was fucking awesome with my friends. Like I feel like every game should have to have that. Should be like legally required. You have to switch to.
Like, sorry you didn't read blog post number 503-7C. Fuck you.
Yeah.
By the way. On the flip side, when new season...
That is true. Like, whenever, if you're not keeping up with the live service game, it's very easy for it to kind of leave you behind. And you come back to the game and, like, a bunch of shit has changed. Like, I've had this happen to me whenever I come back to play Fortnite or PUBG. There's, like, 6 new guns. I don't know what any of them do. Where's the M4? I can't find it. What's this new fucking... It's kind of like a scar, but it's not. The fuck? I thought the AUG came from the parachute box. Now it's on the ground. Oh my god, this is so complicated now. Yeah, it's happened with a lot of things, and yeah, it makes it hard for people to come back and play them again.
So coming out for an already existing game, that can generate a lot of hype. But staying up to date with live service games, particularly ones you're really invested in, can feel like reading a fucking manga. Like, miss one issue, now you have no idea why a support hero can outduel Reinhardt. So many games and so many updates, players generally stick to like one or a few live service games at a time because it's such a big investment on the player's part, right? It's all
you invest a lot of time playing the game. That's the reason why MMO players are so focused on whether a game is dying or not. Because if a game is dying, then they don't want to play it because they're investing a ton of time into it. It's what makes sense.
The reward structures, the daily login bonuses, daily challenges, weekly challenges.
I kind of felt like that with Tower of Fantasy. I wanted to go back and play the game again, but it kind of stressed me out a lot whenever I was trying to compete on the leaderboards. And it's like if I wasn't doing all of my vitality dailies and playing the game every single day, other people were getting ahead of me, and they were a higher level, and now I had to farm frontier expeditions 500 fucking times. Like, oh my god, it's crazy.
All this vaulting of content and limited time events. Everyone's trying to get you to feel like you're missing out. Remember to rewatch this video after you finish watching it for the memes? So it's like, are you really going to stay committed to the Vanguard grind? Modern Warfare 2 is out right now. There's probably people still playing Vanguard. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? If done right, live service can be a saving grace and a guardian angel. Live service in early access means developers can release their game, gauge player interest, and make changes before putting all.
This is what happened with not only Valheim, which is a great example, but also with Vampire Survivors.
All this fucking time and effort into a project because they might not be making a good game. Early access can help guide development towards the ideal finish line that the players and developers want to arrive at. The best case scenario you can hope for is to be Fortnite. Game's so good in its live service, it's actually annoying. You just had to add Goku, huh? No, I couldn't resist at that point. Epic Games has nailed the live service model better than anyone. A game like Vermintide 2 likely would have died if Bad Shark wasn't pumping out consistent updates for it. Games that would have gotten old if new stuff wasn't added. Live service can provide a lot of benefits.
Yeah,
Most of very good among them, giving developers more than one chance to make a statement.
That's very true. It's like, I think New World is an example of that. Is that whenever New World released, it was very problematic and people didn't like it for a number of reasons. And then as time went on, the game improved and people came back and they started playing it again. That's what, again, and people can say that, No Man's Sky is another example of that. It's not copium, it's the numbers. And another example of that is Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV released, it was garbage. And then they fixed it, and now a lot of people play it.
It was an economic decision at the end of the day. You got to cut the bridge. You realize you can't make a lot of money on something. This is what EA see it like. You realize
economic decision they got to realize you can't. Oh yeah, of course.
You can't make a lot of money on something. This is what EA like Jorgensen said after the company shut down Visceral Studios and canceled their single-player Star Wars game. These are the words why KOTOR 3 doesn't exist, because it had to be KOTOR Online, and it couldn't just be Elder Scrolls 6. It had to be
Yeah, I was one. Yeah, I watched this a long time ago too.
I agree. Here's it. Don't freak out. But this is your guide. Your stress levels are all and so high. Stop stressing over this. Mighty Patch pimple patches reveal clear looking skin in 6 to 8 hours. Pimple, meet your Mighty Patch.
Yeah, whatever happened with? Yeah, did this? Are they just gonna release Skyrim again? Like, I mean, yeah, it's coming. I'm not like a huge Elder Scrolls fan. Like, maybe I'll play the new one, but like, it makes you think, you know?
Elder Scrolls Online. Live service
Yeah.
has become the biggest killer of creativity in the industry by far. Game development seems to have shifted towards being results driven as opposed to fun driven. We see this attitude time and time again. As for
I think that it's much more formulaic. I don't know if I agree with the idea that live service games have made people less creative. I'm not sure if I agree with that. However, I think that really whenever you're releasing a base game, there's a lot of like fundamental narrative and everything you have to make. So if you're releasing less of those, you could make a, just like a pure argument made off of volume. But on top of that, I think that there are a lot of other cases where live service games become more creative. I think that Fortnite's a great example of that, where they keep doing a bunch of new crazy shit all the time and being creative with the same. But it depends.
back is 2012, when guess who? EA again. President Frank DeBoe said, I had not greenlit one game to be developed as a single-player experience. Today, all of our games include online applications and digital services that make them live 24/7, 365.
I feel like most games that kind of make sense for it. Like, I don't know. It depends, though. It's like a lot of games, like, for example, Elden Ring, you have, like, Invasion, you have things like that. Call of Duty, obviously, right? Halo, obviously. Like, any sort of online, like, survival game, obviously. Valheim, obviously. Stuff like this. So I don't think that it's necessarily a problem. I think it's all of the secondary effects that live service games usually come with. Daily activities, daily tasks, battle passes that are just, a bunch of FOMO bullshit. I don't hate battle passes. I think battle passes are fine. But whenever every single game has a battle pass, you start having the same mindset shift that, like, back in the day when one game had a battle pass, it was like, okay, well, we just get the battle pass for this new game. Just like Netflix, right? You just had your Netflix subscription, but now you've got your fucking Netflix, your Hulu, your HBO Go, your Amazon Prime, your what are some of the other ones? Those are some of the ones that just immediately come to mind. Apple Music, Showtime, like Paramount Plus, Disney, Hulu. Like you've got all of these different things, and now it's like a $10 charge for every single one of them. It's like I thought we moved away from this with cable, and now we're getting it again. Yeah, OnlyFans, of course, multiple. And the fact is that, yeah, I think that that's the problem with battle passes also that people have is that now that every game has a battle pass, people feel like they can't play a game to its full capacity whenever they come back and they want to enjoy it because they feel like they're playing at a disadvantage because the game is designed to play best whenever you're using the battle pass.
In other words, if we can't make this game a live service, then we won't make it at all.
Why? Because fuck you, give me money!
You know, BioWare
There it is.
is a company that was renowned for making single-player RPGs.
No.
And give them an MMO FPS and let's see what happens. This idea that every game should be a platform or a service isn't exclusive to EA, but they seem to be the ones most convinced this is the only option for the future. Like, did anybody ask for Assassin's Creed to be live service? Like,
Isn't it supposed to be a service platform, not a game? Okay.
They already make the damn things once a year. Game development has been heading towards this homogenous blob. Like every game looks the same, and its menus are the same.
I feel like that's definitely fucking true. Like, whenever I look at a battle pass for a game that I've never played, I understand it. Whenever I see a gotcha system for a game that I've never played, I'm like, okay, so that's the premium currency, that's the in-game currency, that's the store points, that's the seasonal currency, okay. And so these are the spins for the base characters, these are the fresh spins, okay. All right, yeah, and like, it's just, everybody knows what it is, and you just do it. Yeah, it's the same shit, man.
The way you unlock things is the same. With co-op coming to Dead Space 3 and multiplayer rumored for Dragon Age 3, it seems that the idea of solo-oriented experiences is now dead to EA. As is variety, it seems. The inexorable march towards video games...
Hey, yo, don't forget that there's always going to be games like Hollow Knight. There's always going to be good single-player games that come out. They don't need to be made by EA. And the fact is that one of the great things about game development now is it's been opened up to so many more people. I can guarantee you, if I was 12 and Unreal Engine 5 came out, I would be a game developer right now. Like, that's the facts. And the reason I didn't do it is it was too fucking hard to do it back then. Like, you had to learn all the coding and everything. Of course, you still need to learn it then. But if you're 12, it was less evident that way. You know? Yeah, you've got Hades, like Icarus. There are many games that are produced and made. They're incredible now, and I do think that a lot of these massive studios like EA, Ubisoft, fucking Blizzard, Activision, all these big places, that they're getting to this point where they are too big to succeed. There's just so much red tape, so much foundational problems that they have to overcome. So many types of like overlaps and like checks and balances that these games have, politics, and I don't mean like, putting a gay person in the game. I mean like office politics. I mean just the different things that the games needs to appeal to. These are the kinds of things that just make these companies too slow to operate, too slow to. It's like a ship, right? Like you have a massive fucking ship, and it's like it's hard to turn the fucking ship because it's so big. That's what these AAA studios are like.
Becoming one indistinguishable mass of gray sludge continues. Live service has radically changed the way sequels are produced, if they are at all produced.
Yes.
Right, Rockstar? Making my games is hard. So it was put all their eggs in one basket and just invest.
Why are you even shitting on fucking bro? At least Grand Theft Auto has like an active roleplay scene, or not roleplay scene. Oh, roleplay. Well, I mean scene, but not. Okay, all right. Anyway, fucking how many times have they re-released Skyrim? I mean, it's got to be 12 times. I think 100%. I would almost for sure bet that it's been released at least 10 times. It's nuts. At least Grand Theft Auto, it's like, you've got the whole online scene and everything.
Than that. Oh, what's that? We made $8 quadrillion? Yeah, that's the reason why Grand Theft Auto 5 has been on 3 console generations. Don't get me wrong, being a live service is an incredible tool to have at your disposal, but not every game needs to be one. What publishers need to realize is that, like my new vacuum cleaner, it's okay to just make something good and leave it at that. At what point does the idea of providing a service conflict with providing a fun experience? I'll tell you when it affects the bottom line. Well, okay, establish that player retention is the most important factor, right? Yep. In a successful live service, we need players, more possibility for spending, more ways we can monetize. Management needs to hit a bottom line to continue justifying this. Sure, again, please subscribe to my OnlyFans. Most systems in modern video games are focused on maximizing player retention. Once you understand this, everything about modern gaming falls right into place. You begin to understand why social features have been disappearing Why scoreboards are now a hot button issue. Why post-game lobbies disband. Why you can't vote on maps anymore. You start to realize there's a reason games launch like shit sometimes. Why FOMO has become such a popular acronym recently. If there's a choice between adding a feature that objectively makes a game better and removing it to potentially increase player retention, what do you think the publishers are going to choose?
I played World of Warcraft for 15 years. I know the answer to this. I think that we all do. Yep. We know how this goes. Uh-huh.
Live service at its worst is the term minimal viable product.
Oh, no.
The bare minimum we can do without getting sued. All we have to do is put out a game that won't get sued. I feel like this idea of live service has been twisted and warped in the minds of some developers and publishers into thinking, well, if it means it increases player retention, then it's automatically a good decision. Not always. Developers like 343 might see the resounding success of Fortnite and Destiny, so they then try to copy what those games are doing without any regard for how it affects theirs. Same with all those shitty.
Well, this is the same thing that a lot of people try to do, is that this is the same with streaming, making videos, or anything like that. Same with making games, is that, they see one game or one person doing something and it working, and then everybody else goes and tries to do the exact same thing. Why did they do that? Because it worked for the other guys. And they don't think about why did it work. They're not able to accurately break down what the factors were that caused the success. They just look at the finished product and try to just replicate that without thinking about where the nuances underneath it. And I think that's a big issue.
Battle Royale. Once one person does something really, really successful, everyone starts copying it.
Yes.
It happens everywhere.
How many Survivors games are there now?
We can't allow you to choose what color your armor is in Halo because that conflicts with the service we intend to provide through carefully controlled codings. Stupid. No, you can't just choose the color red. You need to unlock it or pay for it. That's why examples, live service fucks with things that were already fine to begin with. Someone tells me the game is a live service, my first thought is, okay, so shit's getting cut. Instead of prioritizing a fun, rewarding progression system, companies instead bottleneck progression, monetizing it, making it as...
I do think that the battle passes have become very monotonous and tiresome for gamers, because a lot of people nowadays, I would say that if you look at the average gamer nowadays, and you compare that to the average gamer 15 years ago, I feel like how many of you guys were like one game people? Like, what was the one game that you played like 80% of the time? Or 90%, or like 100% of the time? Like, you were a one game Andy. And like now, you're playing probably a bunch of different. You're playing World of Warcraft, you're maybe playing Final Fantasy, you're playing New World, you're playing Overwatch 2, you're playing Fortnite, you're playing whatever the fuck, right? You're playing Dark and Darker, you're playing Valheim. So whenever you have all of these games that are all existing now, and how the landscape of playing video games has changed tremendously, because there are so many other actually very good options out there, that having to have a battle pass for every single one of these games is not realistic for a normal person. This is just not, I mean, even if you play video games all the time, it's not realistic. If you're playing, like 10 different video games every month, and you're paying for a battle pass, and the battle pass is $15 a month or something like that, $10 a month, that's like $80, $100 a month just on video games. It's a lot. And a lot of people aren't going to spend that. And even if they do spend that, then they have to spend the time inside of each one of those games unlocking the activities through the battle pass. So now it's like, okay, you've unlocked new chores to do. So yes, I do think that battle passes can come at the cost of a good rewarding experience. I feel like also, like, again, they're not fundamentally bad, but having so many of them and having them be so uniform across all of these other games, I think has become very tiresome for a lot of players.
When it comes to leak detection, experience is everything.
With years of industry experience under their belts, the licensed and certified technicians at Zippity Split Plumbing have honed their skills, have mastered the art of detecting leaks. Our commitment to continuous training and staying up to date with the latest advancements in leak detection ensure that you receive top quality service and exceptional results. Zippity Split Plumbing is Arizona's best choice for leak detection.
You need the best footage for your videos. Go to Motion Array to get unlimited footage shot by pro filmmakers and elevate your videos with stunning visuals. Go to motionarray.com now and take your videos from good to the best.
Tedious as possible. Companies have fully tapped into FOMO culture of gaming, and now every major release is scientifically engineered by a group of computer nerds to be as addictive as possible. They've mathematically crafted games like Overwatch 2 to take 327 years to unlock every cosmetic. They have seen.
That is so stupid. I don't know why they don't just change that. It seems like at a certain point, is this really helping the game? It's just too much.
Limited time battle passes, vaulted content. Get it now. It's in the store today. It's not coming back ever again. Dude, open your wallet, bitch. Right? Like, I could obsess over the stats of my own channel, or I could continue doing what I think is fun for me and my viewers.
I want to blame the can.
I think just making good content should be the first and only goal, because everything will follow after that.
This is like the whole Steve Jobs thing, where like the sales guys have control of the company and not the content guys and the product guys, and then the company, the company eventually like loses success and it's left here because the guys that can always make more sales, but sometimes the product is just good in itself. So yeah, I think this is definitely what's happened with a lot of these games. It's certainly a bad thing.
They're directly tied to the number of people currently playing.
Yeah,
that creates pressure.
And that's also a pressure that's created by the player base. Like, think about how many people fixate on like the New World or the any Steam number game. Any game on Steam is constantly being graded based off of the amount of people that are playing it. So, like, if there's not a lot of people playing the game, dead game.
Only relieved by keeping the engine moving. Keep moving forward, like Aaron Yeager. At that point, progression systems become a vessel for retention, not an extension of good game design. In theory, forcing your audience to complete arbitrary challenges is a great way to encourage people to keep playing longer, because you can always make the challenges as arbitrary and difficult to accomplish as you want.
Yeah, you always have like that, and stupid achievements are fun to do. But again, it's like whenever the entire system. The thing is with stupid achievements is that they're optional. That's the big difference.
In theory. In reality, people don't like being told how to play a video game. How about this?
Yeah.
Let's have the most extreme example. Next Call of Duty game, the only way to level up is through a single challenge for each level. And every time, it gets more obnoxious. To get to level 2, all you gotta do, stick players with Semtex 15 times in a match. If you make that progression system, everyone runs around trying to stick you with Semtex, and the game fucking blows. Progression systems can dictate how people play a game, and if you miss...
This is exactly what happens with WoW and parsing. Now that we have like raid parsing and everything, everybody just plays the game to parse. They're not trying to kill the boss, they're trying to get a good parse. This happens in Wrath, and it also happens in retail.
Handle that, it fucks it up. Live service also, as we all know, leads to the restriction in drip feeding of content. Live service can also make games far more complicated than they need to be, like Diablo Immortal, with its 800 different in-game currencies. Well,
this guy never played Tower of Fantasy. The Diablo Immortal currency system really wasn't that complicated. There was only like 7 or 8 different premium currencies. Probably not that many. Yeah, it's like, I mean, whenever I eventually do the Tower of Fantasy full review, I'm going to make a list I'm going to write down a list, probably on a sheet of paper, of every single currency in the game, and I'm pretty sure it's got to be at least 30.
League of Legends, that honestly didn't need more than 120 champions. You could have stopped there. I remember when my buddy brought over the game 7 Days to Die.
I remember whenever I played 7 Days to Die, I wanted to die in 7 days. It was probably one of the worst games I'd ever played in my entire life. An ex-girlfriend made me play this game with her. I killed myself in the game so I didn't have to play it with her anymore.
It came out, and all I could think was, holy shit, dude, you just got scammed. This video game is so bad. It's a scam. It was one of the most unfinished games. I was so bad. I didn't have the heart to tell him. He was like, yeah, it's pretty bad now.
But I didn't tell her either.
I hope they can fix it. And I sat there and I was like, homie, why are you playing something that don't work? I don't care if you plan to make the game better.
I mean, I could say that, but like I've done that with a lot of games. It's like one day it will be good. I just know it. I just know it. One day it will be good. Maybe in 2 years.
If it doesn't capture my interest when I play it, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm a human being with limited time on this planet. I'm not going to waste it eating garbage. Sure, Sea of Thieves and No Man's Sky, they might be incredible 10 out of 10 games right now, but they weren't when I played. And I checked out.
Your game sucks. I don't want it.
Gamers should solve patience for failed live service experiments these days because so many are already up and running with years of work put into them. I mean, Destiny had
That's why it's so hard for these new games to come out. Is because like you're competing against games that have already been out for years. They have years worth of a catalog of content. So it's like, how can you come out and compete directly against that? It's really hard to do.
so many updates, they had to remove content because the game was so big. Which brings me to my next point, competition. It's fierce. Succeeding at providing a live service grants the highest of highs, but failing, it's just sad to watch. Fallout 76, Anthem, Halo Infinite, The Ball, Marvel's Avengers, Battlefield 2042. The graveyard of failed live service games is big. There's a lot of graves out there. Lots of games with high aspirations that promise the world and more, yet fail to deliver.
Halo should have had a VR. I said it then, I'll say it again. Halo should have had a VR. And every Halo fanboy told me I'm wrong. Now your game is dead. Maybe it would still be dead with the VR. But we know for a fact that it's dead without it.
It's unfortunate that live service games now have this expectation
I did
of
say
broken and missing
Battle
content.
Royale.
Sometimes I can accept that. If the premise of the game is so good that I want to stick around, I will. You know, Battlefield 4 was broken for like 2 weeks to a month, but at the end of that tunnel is arguably the best Battlefield in the series. After release, you need a dedicated team right off the bat, on the racetrack, ready to keep the go-kart moving. You started the engine. Now supply it with fuel and oil. Call of Duty, despite all of its problems and everything I bitch about, has always been really good with updates and bug fixes. You know, Vanguard might blow ass, but they added a pause feature before 2042 gave us a scoreboard. Look at Overwatch 2. Blizzard has already had to disable 3 different heroes because of glitches.
Well, it's also because that character sucked. Like, yeah, they disabled Torbjorn, Bastion, and May.
Like, I'm sorry, but weren't you just re-releasing the game you had before? You can't let that happen in a game where heroes are balanced a certain way and how they fight each other. Live service should never be.
They took Bastion out of the game the day that I started playing ranked. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Launch the game. Now stay tuned for when it's playable, because the store is always fully intact, no issues whatsoever. Live service has become the excuse developers use when they say fuck it and turn in their essay that has 3 sentences written.
Yeah, but like if you do that, there's a lot of times that like the teacher gives you like 5 points for your name on the page, 10 points for like the fact that you turned it in at all, like an on-time bonus, and then like if there's proper grammar, that's like plus 20 points. So like if you play the algorithm you can really come out with like a 55 on an essay that's 2 paragraphs. I did this all the time. Like I read the algorithm and I was like, okay, if I turn this in, this will reward me with 55 points and I will successfully complete this class with a 73.
Yeah. Normal. Why so many games are allowed to release unpolished, incomplete, and downright busted. And notice I said the word allowed.
Always been
because people have to approve this shit. They know what kind of game they're putting out. You don't think Homie right here knew what Cyberpunk was going to be?
Oh no!
Think again. Look at it. Look in his eyes. He knew.
Myself and the board are the final decision makers, and it is our call. Although, believe me, we never ever intended for anything like this to happen.
Liar! I would have so much more respect for a developer if they put out their apology video on like a yacht and be like, guys, look, we wanted to get this game out. You know why? I know why. But the fact is, you're right. We fucked up. We're gonna fix it. I don't know. Probably whenever we get back. Yeah, my bad. I gotta go. See ya. And that's it. You know, I would respect that a lot more than like these sad fucking apology videos. So smoking a cigar without shirt on. It's like you're being served by like models.
Like I said, back in the day, oh, we made a shit game. Sucks to suck. Time to move on.
Do it
Do
again.
nothing. Now we need to make a new game that's not a dumpster fire. That was the pressure back in the day. You had one shot. Wasn't always the best, but, you know, gave us Halo 2. Without the luxury of fixing it later, developers were forced to make games great on day one or not at all. If you can't hit the...
I will say again, if we are talking about bugs, watch the way that Trevelyan did the fucking, what is it called? Not minimizable and no echo. The fucking, what was it called? The Charlie's Run thing. I forgot even what it was. And, like, Lasso. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Legendary all skulls on, or something like that. Like, there were so many cheesy things that he did. Obviously, by the way, none of us could even come close to even being able to replicate 5% of them, right? This guy's a legend. But at the same time, it goes to show the game clearly had a lot of bugs. Like, Halo 2 had a tremendous amount of bugs and problems, but it was still a good game. I think we just made do back then.
ground running. If you keep over-promising and delaying features and putting out irrelevant roadmaps, you fall dead in the water. A victim of countless other live service games doing what you're trying to do, but better. And gamers also have to think, wait a minute, should I even invest my time grinding the progression system or getting a rank?
This is why people care about if the game is dying or not. Because they don't want to invest 180 hours into a game that has 180 players.
I have no idea if they're going to pull the plug on this in a year or two. Every time I wake up, I'm thankful I didn't play Anthem.
My perspective on it now is that if I'm enjoying it, I don't care about where it goes or what happens to it in the future. All I care about is, am I having fun playing the game right now at this moment? And if the answer to that is yes, I keep playing. If the answer to that is no, I keep playing and I complain about it.
Really, Shady, as a company, you can use a live service to test egregious monetization and then change it quickly if you get backlash.
Yeah.
Call of Duty's they're not gonna release the anime skins just yet. But they will. Because they always do. Live service is but they will. Because they always do. Live service is often an excuse to give players less than they had before. Halo fans should not have to wait over a year to host custom games with their friends.
That is true. And this is something that Blizzard does. Blizzard removes quality of life features and then adds them back in as content. It's very tiresome.
Call of Duty fans should not have to wait for a competent user interface. Battlefield fans should not be forced to wait for an actual Battlefield title when DICE fucks it up. Overwatch fans shouldn't have to wait 50 weeks just to get one legendary skin. If games,
Well, at least the thing with Overwatch is you can pay to get over that one. I couldn't pay any fucking money to get Bastion back. I'm very forgiving of an overpriced skin because it's a fucking skin. Who cares? It's stupid. But I can't even play my favorite character. What the fuck?
don't succeed my expectations, the budget gets smaller. Members of the team move on to other projects. Promised features get pushed back, eventually cut, and all the people who held out hope for the game lose faith. The well dries up.
Yep.
When a game turns into a live service, it can blur the line between when it's complete or still a work in progress. At what point should a developer stop updating and meddling with their own creation? League of Legends was once my most played game, but now,
Well, they stop meddling with it after they ruin it. So basically, they keep meddling with it and changing it and updating it until they ruin the game, and then they try to fix it. And if they can't fix it, then it's done. Problem solved.
so many of the champions I used to love playing have been completely reworked. For better or worse, I can never play the old Galio I used to love. And that's another thing. The skin I bought for him, I didn't know they were going to change the hero. You know what I mean? Now that skin isn't worth anything to me. Game Pass, Xbox Live, PlayStation Plus, Nintendo Online. Gaming as a service isn't going anywhere because it makes the most money that way.
That's true.
So while there are a lot of benefits to live service, most games aren't able to capitalize on them.
That is very, I think that's a very accurate assessment. Is that live service is a higher ceiling, it's also a much lower floor.
Instead, they fall into all too common pitfalls of getting too ambitious, releasing the game broken, having egregious microtransactions, and anti-fun design. Because if the game sucks and everyone stops playing, then who's the live service for? So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to the Act Man for more awesome content.
This was a great
and don't
video.
forget to check out the Grand Mafia. Get your Stromboni up in there. All right, everyone, that's all I got for today. It's the Act Man signing out.
Pete, did you have a cigar? Oh, he did. Oh my God. Yeah, I actually thought this was really good. This was a great video. It was really well put together. I think that, like, again, I do feel like live service games. I'm very positive and very very good with live service games. I like live service games a lot, but I think we also need to call it what it is many times, where a lot of these live service games are fucking just battle pass, like Freudian, fucking variable reinforcement schedule gotcha gambling simulators. And those suck. And again, I think that like every game having a battle pass has made it to where people don't like battle passes anymore. And in the same way that like Netflix being the only thing in Netflix being the only subscription you can have was fine. Now whenever there's a half a dozen of them or even more, now it's very annoying because you have to pick out which one you want to have now, how many of them are still on your credit card. It's fucking annoying. So I don't really know like what the solution to this is. I have no idea, but it is very annoying. I think that there are a lot of people that are going back to pirating movies and stuff like that and shows because of how annoying it is that every one of these places has like one good show and they want you to subscribe to the entire service just for that one show. People don't want to do that, so they're pirating them again. And so back pirating for sure. Yeah, and the thing is, like with music, I used to pirate music, now I don't at all. I have Spotify, and Spotify's great. It's an actual value add. It's incredible to think that there's something that you used to pay money for, or you used to get for free, and now you're paying money for a better version of it. So I think Spotify is a great example. And Spotify is really good. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to link you guys a video. Make sure to give it a like. Hackman is a legend. He's been on my stream multiple times, and he has all of his history too. So make sure to give him some support. Absolutely, man. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Active Reload. Welcome to our Video Game Podcast on episode 76 for Smack Dab.
Yes. Labus. Let's
Let's
see.
see.
Try Tecumseh.
I was thinking about it, but I want somebody who's more militaristic. I'm trying to think of a perfect build in my head, but he is new and wearing a skirt. Just kidding. The hell is he talking about?
Go militaristic with his city-state ability.
It goes up all the way to deity still. Let's do that. What all maps do they have? I don't. That's less maps. No big. It's not.
A great dais rises from the earth, heralding new day. What the
Back into the recording every week.
Yes.
Studio.
Going on about some bullshit, huh?
Some of the things that brought each was interesting.
Run this shit, bro. I ain't played 7 yet, but I played a lot of 6. If this is like that where you get city-state favor for discovering them first. Then go hard on early scouting and find Amwell and stack the buff and go hard. Those tile choice encounters are cool.
Taki nenatoki, hokuithwali nenato, niki hochi kateski ni pamte, nila pesikui, ni mechto yesi mekohia.
A great dais rises from the earth, heralding a new day. What the Mississippians build will uphold the world.
Did the tile growth specialist thing replace the builder unit for improvements?
Caged bird watches butterflies with envy. He was the first to construct a wall. Do nothing which is of no use. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew. Do nothing which is of no use. He was the first to construct all up.
Đêm nay ngọn gió mát trên đỉnh Fansipan và dòng chảy êm đềm tĩnh lặng của sông Hồng. Các ngươi đến đây!